Hello everyone, this is Grandmaster Pascal Charbonneau, and this is a recap of today's long-awaited game between Alireza Firouzja and Magnus Carlsen, which was a triumph of experience today for Magnus Carlsen, a pretty convincing win with the black pieces in control from the beginning to the end, except maybe at the very end, as we'll see in this quick recap. So it started, Magnus played e4, e5, so he opted for the Ruy Lopez, didn't go for the Sicilian. He's been playing sort of a mix of e4, e5, and the Sveshnikov in recent years. He decided that the closed positions that he gets from this opening were better suited for his young opponent today. And when I talk about Magnus's experience compared to his young opponent, one interesting fact is that the position here after g6, before white plays a3 on move 13, Magnus has actually had this position with the white pieces himself all the way back in 2008 at the Olympiad in Germany in Dresden, when he was playing for Norway. I actually was playing for Canada in that Olympiad a long time ago. Alireza was only 5 years old, but Magnus had chosen to move d5, which is more common. Nothing wrong with a3, but I don't like the way Alireza followed it up. I think here would have been interesting for him to continue with b4 and bishop b2, just kind of develop his bishop that way, and it gives a purpose to move a3. After he plays d5, I think a3 is more of a nuisance than anything. In fact, a few moves later, he finds himself moving it to a4. Now Magnus plays quite typical moves, but quickly white has a problem with their bishops on the c file. Perhaps because he's lost a tempo, he doesn't have time to play rook c1. So if his bishop was already on b2, he could have done that. We're going to fast forward here to this position where it's actually quite amazing, but after move 28 here, black has control of both wings of the board, and there really are no good plans for white, and so he's kind of stuck waiting. His a4 pawn is weak, his king is in a worse position, and the knights don't really have good anchors. While the black knight on c5 is very strong, the black rook on c8 has a target. It's really just a bad position for white. He tries to just wait because there's really not much to do. Finally bites the bullet, plays g3, which is an unfortunate concession, but he decided he couldn't just wait forever. And now, Magnus continues, wins a pawn on a4, and the position looks like it's about to be over here. And in fact, the game ends in just one move. Alireza blunders a piece, but the amazing thing is that it's actually a neat trap, and in fact, this was his best chance, the best position he's had in maybe 20 moves. And so he resigned prematurely here, thinking that he's simply losing a piece. After he takes the bishop on f1 with his king, the knight on d2 hangs. If he takes the bishop with the knight, then knight takes e4 check, and it's a fork. It's a fork. So now the point though is that he could actually have continued. He reaches move 40 here, so he would gain more time. And this pin on the knight on f6 is quite difficult to get out of. Obviously the king can't move. The most obvious move is bishop c3, but that's met by rook c1, which forces this position where white has rook against two pieces. Of course, black is better here, but it's far from over because the d pawn is quite annoying and there's limited material, so you never know. This could end in a draw, and so really kind of a missed opportunity here for Alireza to keep the game going. If instead of bishop c3 going back a couple moves, if black tries rook to e8, white still has resources, amazingly enough. He can play bishop to a1, he's threatening rook b6, and the d pawn is still strong. So for example, if rook takes e4, I'll just show you one very amusing variation. White plays d6, the rook can't get to the d4 square because the bishop covers that square. So he goes, let's say, rook e6, d7. This is a sample variation, of course not forced. And after rook d6, white actually has two very good moves here, but the strongest one is to take on f6, forcing king takes f6, and then rook b6, and white is actually winning. So I guess the moral of the story here is that don't resign too early. But of course, a very big win for Magnus. This puts him in a tie with Alireza, so Alireza is still doing well. But in a tie with Alireza, and Magnus now on a roll with 2 wins in a row. Speaking of Magnus, we at Chess24 just published a video course featuring Magnus today, and you can find it on chess24.com. You do have to be a premium member, which I think is an amazing value. I recommend that you check it out. Thank you very much, and I'll see you again later.